In his final minutes, he had made a decision along with the other 40 passengers on that plane that they were gonna do what they could to fight back, to push forward. It's pretty incredible that I can call my dad an American hero.
Growing up in Brooklyn, this is a place I traveled all through my childhood. I've had a lot of friends, grade school, high school, college classmates that were lost. And to have something like that happen in a place I know so well, it's a tough thing.
Oh my God, another plane has just hit another building.
Appear to be an act of terrorism.
There is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon.
The unthinkable happened
But
today.
it is a surreal and devastating scene over here, something like I've never seen
The
before.
fourth passenger plane, this one in a wooded area of Pennsylvania.
We got a phone call from my mom saying, we don't have all the details yet, but your dad may have been on one of the planes. Come to find out, he had been on the fourth plane that had gone down in Pennsylvania. And over the subsequent days, we come to find out that by the time the plane took off, the passengers were aware of what had been happening in New York and shortly after DC. And they decided to take matters into their own hands. The FBI let us listen into a recording of what took place in the last 20 minutes or so.
From the soundtrack of a national tragedy tonight, the final moments of a flight of heroes.
Families of Flight 93 emerged from their listening session somber and upset, just as they expected. Kimmy Beaven traveled from Oakland to be here. It's her last tie to husband Alan, seated in the rear of the jet, but whose remains were found near the cockpit.
They grabbed the yoke of the plane and, you know, the rest is history, but they made sure that it went down in a place where no one else would be hurt. I know it was deeply personal for you too, you know, growing up in the city, so what's it like for you?
Yeah, so we were back in the off season. We come back to visit family every summer here in New York, and we're on our way back, my wife, Liz, and our 4 children. Actually, September 10th, we flew from JFK to San Francisco. You know, landed late in the day,
Yeah.
and, you know, woke up that morning just with the TV on. Obviously got a bunch of phone calls from New York, just in shock and disbelief. And we sit here 2 decades later.
Mm-hmm.
The impact of that moment. How have you dealt with that? How have you grown from that? And I'm sure your dad's looking down and very proud of the man you've become.
Yeah, I hope he's proud of who I've become. I know he's proud of my family. You know, he didn't get to meet my wife. He didn't get to meet any of my kids. I'm sure he would have loved to have seen what they are becoming. Honestly, I think one of his greatest gifts to me was showing me what it meant to be a great dad and a great parent.
Well, his courage lives on through you, because I'm sitting here in awe and with respect and admiration for the way you're able to move on.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And I can remember shortly after September 11th, one of his colleagues went into his office in upstate New York, very sparsely furnished, barely anything in there, but there was a note at eye level that he had handwritten that said, "Fear who cares." He boarded that flight with that saying fresh in his mind. I honestly think it triggered something that helped the events of that day transpire on Flight 93. That's something that has stayed with me over the last 20 years.
Just being here at this site, does it bring some type of closure? What kind of emotions do you feel?
Seeing his name on the reflecting pool alongside everyone else, and to see my dad's name as an integral part of what unfolded that day and kind of really how we moved forward from that day. I don't know if there will ever be closure, but I'm really glad to be here and to see it and to take it in. I've got my daughter here, her first time seeing it. That's pretty special, and I didn't know how that would all sink in, but I'm truly grateful that we made the decision to be here.